Hey guys, Mike here. So definitely interesting week ahead of us, interesting close on Friday. So when we look at this video, we're going to see something that is getting set up in a lot of these charts, and either big money sneaking out, retail's flying in, or this week with the news coming out, you're going to get to see some major moves. Definitely Tuesday, but especially Wednesday for sure. I'll show you why. And so we'll go through all those charts. And you can see right here what I'm talking about, right? I mean, Monday's nothing. Tuesday, you got core PPI, which, the Fed loves to look at. But then it's the CPI coming out Wednesday. And then Thursday, retail sales and all that fun stuff. But truly, Wednesday's going to be the day. And you can see, I mean, Thursday is just loaded, man. Look at all this stuff coming out on Thursday. But you only got the red folder news in the morning. But then there's plenty of other things coming out as well. So setting up for volatility. And it's, I always say the market sets up in a certain way for a reason, if you hadn't noticed this so far. But when you look at CPI, the last two times it's come out, we've had some pretty big moves going on, or major reactions, right? I mean, in June, 1.3% move very quickly. You see right there. And then, you look at what happened on July's move. Obviously, it was down. Big pop in the morning, and then they dumped it on us, right? And so big volatility. We expect that. When you look at it, starting off with the futures, I'll probably start with this like every day if I have an insight on this. But, I was expecting this move down, or hoping. I think I said hoping. This move down in here, didn't get it. It tapped the top of the box, and then they took us up, then took us down, and just like, basically just slingshot all over the place all day on Friday, which there was no news, so you kind of expected. But I'm still looking to see if we can get a move down into this area, because there's so much liquidity down there. It doesn't have to come down there, okay? And I'll show you why, especially with no news coming out on Monday. That'll affect it too much. But, for me, it's one of the things people look for, a discount, right? They want to buy at a discount. You're not buying a discount if you're buying up there. But if you're buying down here at the bottom of this gray area, that's, 50% discount, right? That's where your fibs are. And if you get even lower, that's even better. The other reason is once it gets up past that level it's at now, that right there, I think it's going to go through pretty fast. I think it's going to go through fast. Could be wrong. Again, when you look at it, what do you see on the regular time? There's a gap there. What happens when any index stock gets in a gap? It usually goes really fast, okay? Or if you go back to extended trading hour, you see what? Liquidity, right? And so imbalances. And so if it starts to fly through those imbalances, it's going to go pretty fast. And so that's why I'm hoping to get the move down first. More of a sell to buy deal here. But you can see on the SPY, if we look at this one, what do? We literally made up almost every penny of the losses that we started out with on Monday. Isn't that crazy? Just stair-stepped this way on up. The RSI is still below 50, but it is above that moving average. Again, celebrate the victories if you're a bull. If you're a bear, you don't like to see that. But when you look, again, another victory, stated a full candle close above the 100 moving average, and it did retest the 100 moving average Friday pre-market and regular hours, okay? So it was definitely testing to see if it was going to break down below, as you can see, and we kind of came below it, but then they pushed it up in the afternoon to keep us above this. So again, multiple tests on that. On the smaller time frames, full candle close above it on the daily, so that's not a bearish thing when you look at it that way. And again, it's all about how they're positioning us for next week for sure. And you'll see that when I show you some of these different stocks we're going to talk about. Again, if we get above that area and start to move up, there's another gap there, so you can see that. And then 542.60s, probably your target right there if that is the case. I'm hoping we push back down first before we do that. But, with this market, I've learned definitely never say never for sure on this one. So, you just got to ride it out how you want to ride it out. Now, we look at it from a different perspective. When you look on the 2 hour here, you can see on the smaller time frames, the RSI is climbing above 50. So on the shorter term time frames, the bulls are doing what? They're building out bullish structure. Okay, we got a higher high. We closed that on Friday, and so it's not a bad thing. And we said we don't want to come down and close it on lower low. But again, we'll see what happens. Kind of looks like a uptrending channel in a way. I'm going to draw it on here. There's another way to look at this, though. When you look at this, the only way it becomes like a real channel is if we do move up, right? To touch the top of the channel. Okay, that'll give us 2 touches on the top, 2 touches on the bottom there. That's what you want to see. Now, I'll show you how to look at this a little differently. When we pull over here, though, and go to the Qs. When you look at the Qs, what are you seeing? Okay, this one right here did even better than the SPY, but again, trying to close that gap right there, made up for all the losses for the week, but it got above and closed above this shaded area. Remember how it was resistance, 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 right? And so it was support, turned into support, but then of course it became resistance. So now it's above there. Okay, so that's actually another video for the bulls. right? This one, though, you'll get, okay, it could be a channel. If we get to the top of the channel, move up, right? After you get above that certain level. Or is this a rising wedge, which drops to the downside? Okay, and you look at that. So again, each person look at the chart and you can see different patterns and stuff. But I'm just saying, obviously, that it can be seen as a rising wedge unless we break through to start to go to the top of the channel. Then it becomes a upward trending channel, okay, which is bullish. I just want to show you both of them, as you can see right there, and what's above this. If it breaks out and goes in that gap, it's got to get above the 100. We have not tested the 100, right? The S&P did, failed multiple times, now finally broke above it. All right, now look at Nvidia. We're going to kind of those of these really fast. It's sitting right at this trend line, right? Trying to break through after holding this little shaded area. Next target if it breaks through is going to be this shaded area. They've held out so far really well, so we're going to continue to use them. You can see right now it's sitting right on its 100 moving average. 50 is way up there trying to kind of curve over a little bit, but you know, it's holding right now. So we break above anywhere from 108, 110 is what we're looking at on this one right here. And there is a pattern, though, that is forming on a lot of these charts. Some have broke out already, like one in particular. Some have not. And I don't find this to be an accident, okay? And this is a ascending triangle. You see how it breaks to the upside normally? You know, you look at Apple. Again, I'm not going to say these are picture perfect or anything. What is that you can see Apple has broken out of this. I would like a more important breakout, but what is it in? It's in this gap right here, right? So it's been moving up. It's been staying really strong. And all it is just higher lows, right? But it can't set the higher high, and it finally broke out of it, right? It'll keep tapping, and it'll keep weakening that level until it breaks through, right? It's usually what happens. These normally break to the upside, okay? You know, when you kind of look at this and zoom in, you can see if it breaks, it's going to, or it keeps breaking, excuse me, it's going to 220, right? Because now it is above this 50, so it's above all its moving averages, one of the very few. It's above all the moving averages. Look at that moving average, how it kept tap, 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 boom. And once they break that moving average and that resistance, especially if you get a little bit of both those in one, then you're going to get a move up. So it's been strong, right? You look at Tesla, again, it's not textbook. You can say it's either wedging, you can say that's kind of formation, but again, if the market moves, Tesla's going to move up, and we both know it, okay? So it's going to move through that shaded area. You look at Amazon, you see the exact same thing, right? Higher lows, not really so much higher highs, kind of stuck there, but what's it fixing to go into if it breaks above this? A big gap, okay? The earnings gap down, right, is going to start to get filled, okay? So we're going to watch for that one to break above as well, and these are the mega caps, right? This is what's going to move the market, and again, that's like 8% if it continues to move up, and we just all of a sudden start moving up in August, but this one has been performing pretty decent compared to a lot of other stuff. But again, we go over here to what else we got? You got Google, right? Almost picture perfect on this one. But again, when this breaks above, what's it going into? What are all these going into, it seems like? Gaps. Right, they're going into gaps, which means they can move up faster, okay? So Google's going to be another one. You go over here to Microsoft. Again, now it's above what? It's above a 200 moving average. You can see somebody said, what do you click on to get the moving average not to move when you go to lower term time frames? Nothing. It's the same price. It just stays in place on my trading view. But when you look at this right here, at least the major moving averages do, it closed above its 200 moving average, which is good. Again, setting these higher lows right here. Looks like it wants to try to break above. What's it going to go into? It's going to go into a fair value gap and then a gap above that. So could move pretty quickly if that's the case. Again, can these go down? Absolutely. They would normally break to the upside, but if the market wants to push us down, it's going to push down going to CPI. Last couple times, I believe at least one in particular, they ran us up going into CPI. But we'll have to see. Now, AMD, a little opposite, right? It's just wedging. This can go either way, right? It's either going to pop to 140, okay? Or we're going to end up coming down and basically stair-stepping down from these different levels here of like 134, 132, 128, okay? And so just kind of keep that in mind with this one right here for sure. And so, again, this one's just wedging. No surprise. Again, what are they leaving us in, right? You got room to move because this right here, you know, it does have room to wedge more for at least another day before we get to PPI, if that's what they assume they want to do here. But that's what's going on with that one. And I will tell you another stock to watch out for. I don't think I've ever talked about this stock, but it's got an interesting setup. It's a very high flyer and stuff. And when you look at it, one of you guys asked me about it, so that's why I'm putting this on here for you. But it's HIMS. Okay, I believe they, again, I've never bought this stock. I don't like trade this stock or anything else, but I've heard and read, I thought this is one that came out with a diet weight drug or something, right? And popped like crazy, if I'm not mistaken. But when you look at this one, you got this trend line Support right here is coming into, again, you're sitting at a 50 Fibonacci low where it came right below. So it did bounce off that trend line right there. Depending on where you want to drag your fib to. If you want to do it from the last time it popped, it's around the golden pocket area. But either way, I'm sorry, 0.79. So either way, major kind of fib level, right? With trend line support right there. And so with this one, you know, could it pop? Yeah, somebody's asking about it. Sure. I mean, there's no real catalyst that I'm aware of because it had earnings and stuff. If I'm not mistaken, you can see how this thing moves, right? It's a high flyer, moves really fast and stuff. I mean, again, you've seen it implode before. But when looking at this one, somebody's asking, well, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, I mean, if it breaks the trend line, sure, we're going down way farther. There's no doubt about that. But you got the bounce so far. And when you look at, actually, I'm not going to pull QQ up. Let me get rid of this. I'm going to pull TQQ up, because this is a high flyer. I want you to be able to see what happens here. TQQ obviously is the bullish leverage ETF for QQQ. So if the Qs turn, right, HIMS is going to turn. How come I think I know that? Because look at this. They track each other, right? HIMS is a high flyer. It's going to move with tech, all right? You know, it's not a tech stock, but it's a healthcare company or whatever, but it moves like a freaking tech stock, so why not? And you can see, I mean, if the Qs are going up, then what is this one doing? It's going up, okay? If the Qs are coming down, it comes down. Right, so almost 98% tracking each other right here, except on like news events or whatever. And you can see that, right? They look the same. And so again, it can. Another reason is this is the daily RSI. The last few times it's been down here, it got a bounce. Okay, so just putting that out there, putting it on your radar, so watch out for that one. When it comes to earnings, I really, you know, honestly, it's one of those things, there's not any huge ones. We got a lot of retailers I'm going to be paying attention to, right? So Monday, I don't really see anything. On Tuesday, you got Home Depot, C, Hut, 8, PaySafe. And then, you know, in the afternoon, I don't really see too much going on there. And then when you go over to Wednesday, you're looking at, I don't know, if you look at Dole, that's fine. It's more going to tell something about us. But then you'll have Cisco in the afternoon. So that'll be another one. There's going to be a faker or maker when it comes to semiconductor and stuff like that. And then you're going to end up with the big ones. Alibaba, Walmart's going to be a big one. JD.com, John Deere, definitely listen to those because we'll definitely hear about the consumer. And then applied materials in the afternoon, nothing on Friday, right? Now, the one thing you can't predict when people say, yeah, I think the market's going up, down, blah, 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 whatever it is. You know, the one thing we don't know is these central banks, especially ours, is when they're going to turn on the money printer, right? Right now, it looks like they're trying to push this market back up and recover. But obviously, you know, you don't know when Jerome Powell and the Fed, you know, they come out anytime this week. Who knows? Or any point in time and say, you know, just imagine the day comes and they say, we're going to start rolling off the balance sheet. And we feel good about where we're at with the balance sheet, right? Which would really calm the bond market. Because right now they're rolling bonds off, right? And remember, they were the biggest buyer from 2010 to 2000 and through 2021, actually. And so keep that in mind when it comes to the Fed right there. And so, again, we don't know what Bank of Japan is going to do, right? They say they're not going to raise rates when the markets are unstable, but they come out with another positive statement like that saying, yeah, we're just done raising for a while, whatever. Again, the market's all about liquidity. It says, hey, this is great. You know, we'll keep moving. The bond market settles down. And so this is what you don't know, right? So it's just one of those times where, you know, as I always say, pick stocks that have been sold off hard that you really are into. So if they go down, you're willing to buy them more. If you're not into the stock and you're just playing it, maybe for a short move or something, it starts to drop, you know, it's a whole different story. But if you're into the stock and you really believe in its story, you're more willing to dollar cost average in if it drops below what you thought it was going to drop below. So anyway, just putting that out there to you. Hope you guys got something out of it. Please hit the like and subscribe button on the way out, and I will see you guys tomorrow.